Alright, hello everybody, check this out. Let's see if this video stops recording. Let's see if it doesn't publish. And let's see if any incidents transpire. Now, bear with me a minute, I'm going to set this up. What you want to do, first of all, what you want to do is go to the pen and paper. Alright, let's see if this video and or my tape recorder that's in the record mode right now, which has been in the record mode for a while, let's see if it picks up anybody saying gang stalk, suck dick, oh my god. They have propped up some props that have been non-stop ongoing now for over a half hour. That absolutely does include the demonic bitches that they got propped up on the sidewalk. Gang stalking crimes are known to these public workers, property owners, neighbors, kids, teenagers, adults, homeless people, punks, criminals, mentally ill people, thugs, homeless people, you name it. Why do you think they call it the gang of gang stalking? So be quiet for a few minutes. Hold on a second. Bear with me. We're going to see if anybody comes on this property. All gang stalking predictions are an extreme emergency effect. So I think that you have been given enough time to go get a pen and piece of paper. Hold on a second, please. Excuse me. Give me about a minute or two, and let's see what this video records while I'm quiet. Okay, I'm in an area right now that is completely, totally 100% secluded from people being naturally in the area on any given day, Monday through Sunday. You should also go to Google and type in landscape noise and gang stalking, and public workers and gang stalking as well. Remember, you want to listen for anybody saying gang stalk, oh my god, suck dick, suck my GSUK. And let's see how long this demonic stupid bullshit goes on for. Okay, so this started about a half hour ago, about 45 minutes ago. Hold on a second. And it's been non-stop ever since. So, what originally began in this stupid ass, these auditorium props that began about 45 minutes ago, was car door slamming. Okay, on the road. And then what happened from there was propping up assholes on the hill directly behind me to engage in multiple verbal techniques. And then these assholes started, and then it all got mixed and blended in together, meaning that it was all going on at the same time. So bear with me a second. Now, why do you think this could be a crime? Could it be a crime? Because I just made a tweet about 3 days ago that I'll be leaving Syria permanently within the next 10 days. Well, the same exact identical to a thing that occurred at the activist street location. Before I left it, Hold on a second. So, Google all my statements to gang stalking. Trying to look for something here. Let me set the phone down just for a second again and see if this video is fast. Oh, by the way, you should also know these perpetrators are hacking into my phones and turning on Wi-Fi. Sometimes I gotta turn it off at least 25 times a day. Hold on. And they're also turning on device location on the phone. The people who commit these crimes are completely criminally insane, and I'm not going into a long drawn discussion concerning them and their organized crime, lying demonic asses, and the people that they use and why they use them. That's not why I decided to make this video. Hold on a second, please. I'm looking for something particular. I thought I had it right here. There's no vegetation on this side or even the other side of the road that needs to be cleared at all. It's total bullshit. Oh, absolutely. Alright, hold on a minute. Now, I'm looking for something. See, I got an ACLU flyer that I printed out. You can go to Google and type in at Google, gang stalking ACLU flyer, FLYER. Bear with me a second, let me do something here. Oh, by the way, you should also go to Google and type in landscape noise and gang stalking, property owners and gang stalking, even children and gang stalking, neighbors and gang stalking. It's actually one of the biggest identified techniques that this dumbass crime employs around victims. Hold on a second. I'm looking for something. So what do you think I might have incorporated the YouTube video that I did in the title of this particular video? That video is a video of Brian 2. He's an ex-DOD contractor. So I suggest you go to YouTube and, I suggest you go to Google and type in at Google Brian 2, TEW, ex-DOD contractor, electronic harassment, remote monitoring. Oh, God. See, these satanic fucking bitches, they know that I'm not going to get up and approach these assholes who are being popped up out there. Because this crime made me homeless, and so they know where I'm at and why I'm here. So if I was to approach them, they would have a legal and underlying reason for being in the area, and I would not. So they know I'm not going to approach them. Okay? So do you see how this crime can fucking take advantage of the circumstance that their crime intentionally puts you in? it makes you homeless. Then it props up the stimuli and the props to make you concerned about who might be in the area and why. It's a crime that's also, just trust me on this. The only thing I can say is just trust me on this. Some of the props that are propped up around me are intentionally connected to prior props that were used in prior events. Alright, let me see. Where is my tape? Ready to go. Hold on a second. Here it is. Now, this has been recording for 16 hours. It's got Velcro on the back of it, so I got Velcro on my backpack. So I stick it up over here. Okay. It sticks real well. Let's see, it's already recorded. Okay, things that should not have been propped up in the area. So I'm going to be quiet here for a few minutes. And they're going to go back to the landscape working. Does it sound like that toe is cutting anything? Cutting jack shit. There ain't nothing to cut concerning where they're at. It's fucking legally. Alright. Just gonna keep recording this for a little bit. Trust me, I got reasons why I'm doing this. As soon as I went live, the bullshit on the hill behind me stopped. The second I fucking went live. That's happened on hundreds of occasions and thousands of Periscope videos. Well, it's happened on 100 occasions concerning 5 different Periscope accounts. Over the years, with a prop of props and assholes, but the second I fucking bring up my phone and fucking bring up Periscope props, certain props immediately stop. They'll let the other ones go on because they got no apparent excuses and natural apparent reasons for being in the area. There's not even no work to be done out on the road right by this area at all. There's no bushes, there's no trees, there's nothing. At all, nothing. Picture yourself walking down a street that has not even lawn. There's nothing there to cut at all. You should research sound sensitization, landscape noise, and gang stalking. Oh, by the way, this is the second one in a row. These little sucker maggots on this 6 shirt. Now, the reason why I wanted to show the ACLU flyer was because when you go to Google and you type in ACLU flyer and gang stalking, law enforcement, neighbors, you should be able to find that flyer within a gang stalking victim's blog post. And in this flyer, it shows the ACLU openly acknowledging that law enforcement intelligence units are the main... Hold on. Put the cigarette out. Are the main identified host of this crime. And that using neighbors and noise harassment, including through neighbors, is one of the biggest identified techniques employed through this crime. That's propped up around the victims, and then you can then also go to Google and type in landscape workers and gang stalking and landscape working noise and the sensitization method in gang stalking. It's just information I'm throwing out there to you for you to study. So I'm going to expand on this just a little bit. Now, in gang stalking crimes, these little satanic bitches who host this crime what they do is they engage in a whole slew of different identified techniques and methods and tactics in order to constantly bombard the victim with methodologies that are incorporated within their techniques. And I'll expand on this just a little bit. Hold on a second. Now, violating the personal boundaries of a gang stalking victim is also another identified method of gang stalking. One good way to see that is, well, one, research this crime, but two, you can also research the techniques of blocking and crowding in gang stalking. Breaking into victims' homes in gang stalking. Google all my descriptions to gang stalking. Okay, so, hold on. Okay, now, when anybody who tries to do some investigative research into a subject matter, what they might do is they might sit back and they might look for, does this subject matter have patterns? Does it have attributes, identical attributes, identical markers that can be identified so that if any patterns can be established, then those patterns become markers to what is being researched. Let me give you a case in point concerning that. Well, let me just expand on this a little bit concerning what gang stalking does. When you research gang stalking, you're going to be able to openly see that gang stalking is a program, because when you research the sensitization method of gang stalking, the direct conversation method of gang stalking, dark neural linguistic programming methods of gang stalking, noise harassment, sound harassment, and then thoroughly, extensively research the sensitization technique of gang stalking, and then when you research gang stalking in its entirety, hold on a second. You're going to be able to see that gang stalking is a program that operates on a general template of methods, techniques, and tactics. Okay? And trust me, they're wide in scope. Tens of thousands of people all over America are online daily exposing this demonic crime that's responsible for mass murder, mass human trafficking, including massive slavery, including sexual, labor, racketeering schemes, medical insurance fraud schemes, what else do we got? Torture, non-consensual human experimentation, and much more. Now, so why would a crime be created by a government, okay, and implemented actually even worldwide, because this is a worldwide crime? But let's just stick to the United States right now. Why would the United States government create a program and perpetrate it in every single neighborhood, town, city, county, and state in the United States including within practically every environment you can think of. Universities, churches, charities, colleges, high schools, coffee shops, banks, post offices, apartment complexes, every place that you can think of that makes up what you see when you go out and about in your community. Google those types of places to gang stalking. Okay? Now, when you see that grocery stores, restaurants, movie theaters, banks, post offices, universities, churches, charities, self-help groups, homeless shelters, the police, teachers, postal workers, mail theft, mail delayment, mail tampering, all alphabet agencies to gang stalking. When you research my descriptions, you're going to start seeing a wider scope of this crime, because you're going to say to yourself, how can this crime be stretched into these identified descriptions? You're going to say to yourself, how is this possible? What is going on? What is gang stalking? Well, look at all the places that I just described, and even some employment descriptions, which include the police, law enforcement at all levels, federal, state, county, local, and so on, including intelligence agencies, including the military. Well, when you research these descriptions, you're going to say to yourself, okay, there's got to be a reason why gang stalking is being implicated to be going on in coffee shops, universities, churches, charities, banks, post offices, colleges, you name it, department stores, restaurants, movie theaters, grocery stores. You're going to say to yourself, why would something like this be identified to be going on in all these different descriptions? You might think to yourself, what is going on? That's part of the gang stalking. The victim, who is being illegally GPS tracked to all these identified places, is then ganged upon in these types of identified descriptions. Hold on. So do you think when I say go to Google and type in landscape workers, including public workers and gang stalking, nothing is going on? Nothing at all? Neighbors and gang stalking. Do you really think nothing's going on there? Shouting down from neighbors' properties, so get around it, concerned where the gang stalking victim is at and or living. Do you think nothing's going on there? That's why I was looking for that ACLU flyer, which I probably ended up putting in some files and folders. I had it sitting. Hold on one more second. Go. I'm looking for the flyer right now. Bear with me a second. See, so let me talk to you a little bit more about this, so you can kind of maybe have a better or general understanding, possibly about what provoked me, stimulated me with this video. Brain entrainment is one of the biggest sub-motivations of this crime. In fact, it's actually one of the biggest motivations of this crime, but it also falls within the sub-motivations of this crime. It's an extremely sophisticated aspect of this crime, and it's very hard to prove. You got to also understand, when you research at Google and YouTube, hospitals, medical centers, medical clinics, and gang stalking. Gang stalking brain entrainment does not allow you to prove that you've been brain trained, because they know what they're doing to their victims. So since this is a nationwide criminally insane program that involves extremely heinous crimes that they're perpetrating against all victims, they already had to make sure that they had protection measures set up before they started implementing the program. That's why gang stalking victims are blacklisted from uncorrupted legal assistance, including through police, courts, prosecutors, judges, you name it, the whole 9 yards, and through the medical community, because they know what they're doing to victims. You should research extensively brain entrainment and gang stalking, visual and auditorial brain entrainment, as well as torture and gang stalking. You should also research all alphabet agencies, state, county, and local police, and fusion centers for gang stalking as well. Hold on. Well, another thing you should take into consideration is, do you honestly think these sick bitch animals don't know I'm making this video? Of course they fucking do. Go to Google and type in cyber surveillance and gang stalking. They know exactly what all gang stalking victims are doing online, in real time, at all times. Why am I constantly having to turn off Wi-Fi on my phone when I'm at wooded areas? Say if I'm on my phone for 5 straight hours, sometimes I gotta turn off Wi-Fi being turned on my phone by a third party at least 25 times in 5 hours. Who the fuck is turning it on? I've never given this phone number to anybody. In fact, I've never given my phone numbers in the past 4 years to anybody. So who the fuck gave my phone number to these wild satanic bitches? And why are they turning on Wi-Fi? Are they spoofing my phone? Of course they are. Who's turning on location info, or my locations feature on my phone constantly, including when I'm making Periscope videos? Who's responsible for that? It's not happening by a ghost. These are physical acts that take place through physical people. Hold on. And by the way, I've also noticed, hang on one second. Sorry for the brief interruptions. For months, when I make a Periscope video, a copy of that video would appear in my downloaded files, so I could then put it on YouTube. That has magically stopped. Do you think maybe they're trying to limit my exposures to YouTube? Google cyber manipulation, cyber hacking, cyber sabotage, cell phone manipulation, settings manipulation, gang stalking. When you have a government that sets up a crime that is involved in massive insurance fraud schemes, racketeering schemes, sexual and labor human trafficking, medical racketeering, human trafficking, which includes but not limited to the non-consensual human experimentation, all of that is directly connected to extreme torture. Do you honestly think that they're not going to monitor the communications of that victim, electronic and paper? Paper meaning but not limited to mail. Google the United States Postal Service, UPS, and FedEx for gang stalking. Hold on. I got something out here. I'm trying to look for that flyer. Do you see how they're compromising my schedule right now by propping this sick shit up? Hold on. Do you notice how you didn't hear any vehicles pull away, but the landscaping noise stopped? At least it did right now. Yet when they pulled up, went right before this started, massive amounts of car doors slammed. Research door slamming and gang stalking, landscape noise and gang stalking, neighbors and gang stalking, especially related to the sensitization technique of gang stalking. Alright, so let me expand on my statement here a couple minutes. Now, alright, I found the flyer, so let me just kind of get it out here and show it to you here for a second. Hold on. By the way, I took the original version of this printed out flyer to FedEx to have them copy it, and look at how light it came out. Okay, so this is a flyer that was found in a gang stalking victim's blog, and it does appear to be made through the ACLU, warning domestic terrorism. It goes on to talk about how the American Civil Liberty Union has received reports of serious forms of illegal harassment in your community and is seeking information which can help lead to criminal prosecution of the perpetrators as well as possible civil litigation. against any government agencies which might be complicit. Organized stalking, also known as gang stalking, is a crime in which individuals are subjected to psychological terrorism by corrupt members of law enforcement agencies such as law enforcement intelligence units, the FBI, intelligence security contractors, and criminal informants. It also goes on to talk about organized stalking tactics include threats, abusive comments, entering a victim's residence without a search warrant, slander, lying about the victim, interference with employment opportunities, systematic harassment using noise, sometimes from nearby residents, theft, vandalism, and criminal invasion of the victim's privacy, including by methods such as unauthorized wiretapping and computer hacking. Then it goes on to talk about some of the government, some of the actual crimes by their government codes, like 18 U.S. Code 2261A and anti-stalking laws. Okay, gang stalking is a crime perpetrated by the federal, state, and local governments, fusion centers, U.S. intelligence agencies, the U.S. military, and much more. It's a program. It's a program where they're using normal appearing legal surveillance laws, FISA court warrants, and much more, so they can put innocent American citizens on watch lists, so these citizens can then be subject to illegal wiretapping surveillance, so that they can be so they can get the resources they need for the surveillance that then helps keep the victim entrapped into crimes until the crime motivations can be achieved, which include human trafficking. Okay, it's all it is. Gang stalking is nothing but organized crime trying to achieve organized crime motivations against their victims. Case in point, they made me homeless literally by stealing my rent right out of the mail that was mailed, certified mail, return receipt through the United States Postal Service. The only way that you can steal rent out of the mail that is mailed, certified mail, return receipt through the United States Postal Service is by using a USPS postal clerk. Absolutely. Now, they knew I wouldn't pay the rent again because they knew the only way I could pay rent was by mailing it. So they could then turn around and do the same thing again and then continue to demand the rent again. So they knew that would create the homelessness of me. Now, that particular mail that was mailed, certified mail, return receipt, it had a track and confirm number attached to the actual envelope, which is why I mailed it certified mail, return receipt. Hold on. Now, I tracked that envelope for 7-8 months straight, consecutively straight, after it was mailed, and it was still showing that it was accepted but not delivered for 8 straight consecutive months after it was mailed. The goal was to create the homelessness of me because they knew I wasn't going to pay rent again in the same way, so they would then steal it again and then still demand it to be paid again, and the only way I could pay it again would be to mail it again so they could then steal it again. They knew I wasn't going to continue to do that, so they created the homeless of me through that methodology. It was predicted in notaries and emails that were made before they stole it. Absolutely, and audio files. This occurred in Michigan. So, I Google all my statements, and that includes creating the homelessness of victims. So what do you think they've been doing ever since they created the homeless of me? They've been tracking me to wooded areas and staging assaults, arrests, tickets, interactions between homeless people, property owners, public workers. Now, how is brain entrainment connected to anything that is done in gang stalking? Well, let me give you an example. Say if you got a guy who's being gang stalked and he's living on a house that's on the corner of a street, and the gang stalking psychos are breaking into his garage once every 30 days. Okay? Now, when they break into his garage, they will do specific things that. All right, hold on. When they break into his garage, they will do things that average regular burglars do not do. Average regular burglars, when they break into anything they break into it, they take things, they leave. Gang stalking, though, what gang stalking will do, they'll enter your home and they'll move things around, take things to replace them later. Google all my descriptions. Because gang stalking wants you to notice this peculiar behavior, because once they know you notice it, that action will become anchored in your mind to be something that is peculiar outside of the normal realm of home invasion. So, say if you got a guy who lives in a corner house on a street in a neighborhood, and his garage is being broken into once every 30 days. Things are being stolen in the garage, things are being damaged, but also specific things are being done intentionally so that that person will notice what's being done. Like tools being taken out of his toolbox and laid out in specific, unique, bizarre ways. So that when he goes into the garage and he notices things that have been stolen and damaged, he will then notice these things being laid out in extremely bizarre, unique, specific ways, in order to, so that thing becomes anchored in that victim's mind. That victim will say to themselves, why would somebody do this in this specific, unique way? Okay? Okay? So, what is happening here when they do these things with these tools, okay, is that they're anchoring a visual anchor in that victim's mind, so that the victim will see these things being done in these bizarre, unique ways. That then becomes a visual anchor. All right. So then the next time the victim's garage is broken into, and a couple things are stolen, a couple things are damaged, they'll repeat the same action, but instead of leaving the tools laid out in a specific, unique, bizarre way, they'll do it and lay the tools out on the floor, like right by the garage door. So when the victim sees that their garage has been broken into again, and sees this unique, specific, bizarre thing done, it's now done at the same time that the victim opens up the garage door. It's the first thing they see. Why do you think that was done? That was done so that so that this unique, bizarre thing that will stand out in the victim's mind will become a visual anchor related to the victim opening up the garage door. So imagine you walking into your home, and as soon as you open up your door, you see something laid out right in front of that spot that's right in front of the floor, that's right in front of the door. Right? So, what do you think you would endure psychologically and emotionally and in your thinking processes when you came home and you opened up your garage door and you see your tools laid out in a very specific, unique, meticulous way for you to see? Something that they know you're going to know that you did not do yourself. Okay? Why do you think they did that? They did that to create that thing that the victim saw, so they could use that as a visual anchor to your personal boundaries being violated and to theft. Now, why do you think they did that, though? They did that in a way so that when you come home the next time and open up the garage door will be used as a stimuli to stimulate that visual memory. Because it was the first thing he saw when he opened up his garage door on the prior date. Same thing like if they do it when you open up your apartment door and the first thing you see on the floor right in front of the door inside the apartment, things being laid out in a specific, unique way for you to see. Why do you think when they're breaking into victims' homes, they rearrange things in specific ways? Google all my statements to gang stalking. Now, this is called visual anchoring, and it's connected to visual entrainment, connected to gang stalking. in order to create a visual episodic memory, in order to create visual entrainment to a specific bizarre act. 2, everyday items. The guy that they're doing this to is a mechanic, so therefore every day he's going to be interfacing with his tools. Therefore, every time he sees his tools, that will stimulate that visual memory. Okay? Why do you think they're intentionally destroying gang stalking victims' doorknobs, so when they come home and go to turn on their doorknob so they can enter their homes, their doorknobs fall apart in their hands? Why do you think that is? Because they want to excite the electromagnetic response to that event as soon as the victim gets home. Why? Well, when the victim gets home, is there a Wi-Fi broadcast signal from either that victim's Wi-Fi service or possibly from a Wi-Fi router, mobile Wi-Fi router, that has been propped up right outside that victim's door of their home and or apartment. In order to excite an electromagnetic response to a visual anchor and or to a sound anchor, which is an auditory anchor, auditory and visual brain entrainment, you gotta force the brain to notice it. In order to create visual memories for a visual anchor, you gotta create a visual memory to something that the victim will interface with every fucking day. A doorknob, the victim's tools, something the victim is forced to see when they open up their apartment door, because what they're forced to see is laid out right in front of them on the floor when you open the door, and then the floor that's right in front of the door, they'll break into the home, lay the things out on the apartment floor that's right in the line of field of sight when you open up your apartment door. Why do they fuck around with your doorknob so it falls apart in your door, in your hand when you turn your key, when you put your key in your apartment door and turn it and then go to turn the doorknob and the doorknob falls apart? Why do you think that is? Because these are everyday things that people interface with when they come home. Now, why is this relevant to the YouTube video in the title of this Periscope video? Because gang stalking, it's got to create auditorial anchors and visual anchors in the victim's mind to this crime, to negative associations. How do you think you feel when you come home and you discover your home's been broken into? You're going to feel like your personal boundaries have been violated. You're going to feel like your safety is no longer secure. And you're forced, and as a result of while you're enduring this, you're having thinking responses, emotional responses, while you're being forced to see something that was visually propped up, that is unique and associated to the crime, that made you feel unsafe, and that made you feel that your boundaries have been violated. The thing that was propped up and or the action of causing your doorknob to fall apart in your hand. Why would this be done? Because in gang stalking, in order for them to create an auditorial entrained pathway, a sound prop, or a visually entrained pathway, something forcing you to, that's being done to force you to see it, they got to be able to create something that will stimulate the visual memory of that visual prop when you're coming or going, entering or leaving a place. Because what do you do when you come home? You're switching mental tasks. You're like, if you're a woman, you're going into your purse to get your keys. You're setting things down so you can put that key in the doorknob to turn your key lock, to then put your hand on the doorknob and turn it, to then use motor cortex associated behaviors to pick that briefcase back up, to pick the purse back up, to walk in the door. These are all motor cortex associated behaviors and thinking responses and thinking processes that are being processed through neuronal activity. Now, these are neuronal activities that cause the victim to fall off of remote neural monitoring. So they got to get you back onto remote neural monitoring as you're entering your home, so that when you enter your home, you will already be on remote neural monitoring, which is using Wi-Fi as the conduit. Okay? So, in order to get you back onto remote neural monitoring, they gotta force the brain to recognize something that is connected and associated to their crime. Why do you think gang stalking creates these negative associations? By propping up the visual anchors for the guy to see when he opens up his garage door. Okay? Why do you think they set the tools right by the garage door? Okay? Because that way, whenever he comes home and he opens up the garage door, the visual image of the garage door will excite the memory of what he saw when he opened the garage door. Why do you think they disassemble the doorknobs of your apartment door, so when you come home and you turn that doorknob and it falls apart in your hand, okay, and then once you get it fixed and are able to enter your door, you see something right there laid out in front on the floor of your apartment, as you're walking through the door. Because they need that excitement, they need to create that visual memory, so that on the next days when you go through your apartment door, that visual imagery of your apartment door and the prior experience will stimulate that visual memory, okay? And then that electromagnetic response gets excited. Remote neural monitoring identifies it through Wi-Fi that's in the area, and therefore they can neurally latch onto you. So why do you think I incorporated the YouTube video that I did incorporate in the title of this Periscope video? What are sound props connected to gang stalking? Landscape noise. Propped up right off the entrance of this wooded area. These 6 satanic fucking bitches know that in order to auditory brain train a gang stalking victim to sound stimuli, so is it for this purpose? When you research landscape noise and gang stalking, people talking in gang stalking through nearby neighbors, which is an additional reason why I showed you this ACLU flyer. Let's go back to it for a second. Those neighbors talking and yelling stopped the second I brought up Periscope. Okay. Systematic harassment, noise, sometimes from nearby residents. Okay. So, they know that they can sensitize any person, any gang stalking victim, to anything they prop up because of the unique way that sensitization is formed and perpetrated through gang stalking. Extensively researched the sensitization technique of gang stalking. Okay? So, they know that they can create negative associations and correlations in the victim's mind to any stimuli. A dog barking, whistling, clapping, coughing, clearing your throat, landscape noise, people even talking from a distance. Okay, repeating identical words and phrases, repeating identical sounds. They know that they can sensitize a gang stalking victim to this, so that way in the future, whenever these things are propped up, it's going to excite the electromagnetic response in the brain. Remote neural monitoring then identifies it and latches onto it. Okay, so if you got a gang stalking victim who's being gang stalked and they're walking down the fucking road minding their own business, and the perpetrators have propped up Wi-Fi boxes, portable Wi-Fi boxes down that road because they know that's a road that the gang stalking victim takes every day, then there's Wi-Fi in that area. So all they got to do is prop up a neighborhood lowlife, a neighborhood public worker, a neighborhood landscape worker for adjacent condos and apartments in that area. They got the victim sensitized to landscape noise. The landscape noise is heard. The brain recognizes it. Boom. And they got complete plausible deniability because they don't allow you to prove it. Check this out, and then I gotta go. If a gang stalking victim who was brain trained to, through gang stalking, to landscape noise, went to a hospital or a university hospital and said, I want to be hooked up to an EEG machine which is where they put those electrodes on the head. And I want you to record my brain activity. And then what I'm going to do after 5 minutes of this has started, I'm going to turn on an audio file of recorded landscape noise. What's going to happen is that once that recorded audio file starts of that landscape noise, the brain's EEG spikes are going to massively spike. Now, these EEG readouts, the EEG electrical activity of the brain, produce electromagnetic frequency outputs. And that's the entrainment. Now, do you honestly think for one fucking second the fact that when you go to Google and you research hospitals, medical clinics, medical centers, doctors, nurses, administrative staffs to gang stalking, do you honestly think that they would allow that? If you took an average person who's not a gang stalking victim, who has never been sensitized to landscape noise, and you hooked them up to an EEG machine, and then after you hooked them up to an EEG machine, if you started playing landscape noise from a tape recorder in the 5 feet away from that victim as they were hooked up to the EEG machine, it's not going to produce a electromagnetic response that's extremely reinforced and extremely potentiated. You take a gang stalking victim and hook them up to an EEG machine and play an audio file of landscape noise, and it's going to spike like you would not believe. It's going to go from 2 to 1,000. Hold on. And the electro frequency, hold on a second. And the electromagnetic frequency output from that EEG signal spike is the entrained frequency output from the brain entrainment, which is why they will not allow the victim to prove it through medical centers. That is what the NSA and their lying human trafficking asses, along with the CIA and the FBI, are doing to gang stalking victims. Okay? So, my fellow American citizens, research all my descriptions. When you go into the YouTube video that I pasted in the title of this Periscope video, Brian 2 is an ex-DOD contractor. Okay? He worked for the DOD, and he knows a lot more about this tech than the average person. Brian 2 has also been covered on many YouTube interviews. You should also research Brian 2, the 2 Hypothesis, Dr. Eric Karlstrom on Google. Okay, because think about this and think about this real well, and then I'll let you go. And by the way, after I let you go, let's see if any incident occurs anywhere around me on this property throughout the entire time that I utilize this property before I stop utilizing it here within the next 7 days, as long as nothing happens that prevents me from leaving it. And I'm going to show you where this property is right now by showing you this tree. Okay? Hold on. So I want you to listen to this following statement, and then I will let you go. Now, consider this and consider this well. Say you're just an average person. An average Joe. Let me put my headphones back on, lock out these little filthy whores. Oh, and by the way, if this landscape noise continues, make no mistake about it, I'd say there's at least a 50% chance that once I get done making this video, the noise harassment from the neighbors will start again, and probably noise harassment through airplanes and or helicopters, because it usually goes on simultaneously. Hold on. Okay, sorry, I got some indigestion going. I just got done taking a bunch of vitamins. Now, so listen to me carefully. Your average American, even though these crimes are worldwide, your average American, when they get up, their main goal is to get up, wake up, have some coffee, take a shower, go to work 9 to 5, get off work, maybe stop up at the grocery store, pick up something to eat, go home, make dinner, spend time with their family, watch some TV, and go to bed. And then they just repeat the same shit Monday through Friday, and spend the weekend with their families and doing whatever they gotta do. Now, why did I bring this up? The average American citizen is not going to wake up on Monday morning and go and get a cup of coffee and sit down at the kitchen table and say to themselves, who the fuck can I use today that I don't know so I can get them to harass a person that I do not know in extremely bizarre, unique, but yet specific ways. The average American does not even have that power. He might be able to get some of his friends or family members to do it, but when he gets his friends and family members to do it more than once, they're even going to start questioning him. Okay, just hear me out. So, right now in America, it's strongly estimated by people who are a lot more in the know than I am, and trust me, I am very educated, who are stating that there's hundreds of thousands of gang stalking victims all over America. Some people are even stating there's millions. I have no problem whatsoever believing that at all. If you had any idea about what I know, my fellow American citizens understand and know, there's depth to that statement. Hear me out. So, do you really believe that the average American is waking up on a Monday morning or any other freaking day out of the week and saying to themselves, I have an employment description that's going to enable me to interface with 350 people in one day, 75 people in one day, 150 people in one day, so I can then get these people to do extremely bizarre things who are strangers to that person, so I can then get these strangers to that person to go out and commit strange, bizarre, unique, specific behaviors against another total stranger. Do you really think that that's normal, natural? Do you think that falls within the realm of normal social behaviors that the average American citizen usually endures, usually sees and distinguishes through their perceptions when they go out and about in their community throughout their lifetimes? Of course it ain't. These are not behaviors of average employment descriptions, and these are not behaviors of your average American citizen. But this is what is being done to hundreds of thousands of gang stalking victims every single day, day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. This shit started at 8 a.m. in the morning specific time on today's date. It's now 9:30, and part of it is still going on. It interrupted over 2 hours of my life already this morning. And trust me when I say, if you knew what I know and have experienced what I've experienced, you would 1,000% agree that this bullshit that was propped up this morning is 1,000% directly connected to gang stalking. A great majority of it's not going on during this video because they stopped it the second I fucking hit Periscope. And remember, who's turning Wi-Fi on my fucking phones while I'm at what it is. I'm surprised I'm even able to make this video because 80% of the time they're fucking interrupting my cell phone signal. Google that to gang stalking. Okay? So you ask yourself, how is it possible? And trust me when I say, consider this. When you go to Google and you type in at Google targeted individuals and gang stalking, look at how many Google generated responses you get. Okay? When you type in, sorry about that. When you type in directed energy weapons attacks and gang stalking, look at how many Google generated numeric responses you get. Okay? When you type in torture and gang stalking, okay, look at how many numeric responses you get to the following statements. Universities to gang stalking. Universities, torture, colleges, banks, post offices, charities, homeless shelters, police, desensitization technique, the direct conversation method, dark neurolinguistic programming, DNLP, grocery stores, movie theaters, restaurants, post offices, banks, coffee shops, bus transportation services, anything that you see within your community, fucking type it into gang stalking, including specific places like McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Home Depot, Macy's, to gang stalking. Do it to any in multiple states. Starbucks, Ross grocery stores, Vons grocery stores, Kroger's, Food for Less, Taco Bell, just Google the hell out of the gang stalking. Social services, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the DOD, DARPA, the military to gang stalking. Now, my fellow American citizens, do you really believe nothing's going on when you see the amount of Google-generated responses you're going to get? Of course you're going to see things are going on. Google landscape workers and gang stalking, public workers, property owners, creating the homelessness of victims, torture, rape, gang rape, murder to gang stalking, non-consensual human experimentation to gang stalking. Look at what the fuck comes up. So do you really believe I'm not telling you the truth? Of course I am. You know it. You'll know it when you investigate my statements. Now, if you can make a victim homeless and then repeat certain acts over and over and over again at each wooded area they go to, like using public workers to report you, using public workers who use landscaping tools to report you, if you can let that victim know that if you get arrested for illegal lodging and thrown in jail, you lose your Social Security, what do you think that would produce? It's called stress conditioning, fear injection to gang stalking. So, if you got a victim that they make homeless, and then they prop up public workers around you to do public works jobs around you, and then they come on the property and say, you're not supposed to fucking be here, and then 2 weeks later they bring the property owner, okay, forcing you to see them, knowing what you know that this crime has done to you in the past, using your homelessness against you. Do you honestly think these actions are not being intentionally anchored in the victim's mind to create fear injection about arrest as a result of being reported, as a result of being discovered through normal apparent excuses? It's called fear injection, stress conditioning. Anything and everything to produce that electromagnetic response that's discussed in the video, in the title of this Periscope video. It's called anchoring actions, anchoring acts, anchoring sounds to acts. What does a landscape worker do before he acts like he stumbles across you, before he threatens to call the cops on you? He engages in non-stop noise harassment through his fucking landscape tools. Therefore, then, on subsequent days, when they prop up landscape workers and you hear that noise, that stimulates the memory of the prior act. Welcome to gang stalking. Welcome to brain entrainment. Welcome to neural control connected to gang stalking. Welcome to fear conditioning. Welcome to your sick bitch government. Anything to produce that electromagnetic response in the brain of the gang stalking victim so they can neurally hack you in real time as a result of that electromagnetic response being excited through the stimuli that is propped up. Welcome to your sick bitch demonic government, who will fucking do gang stalking. When you research how neighbors are being used against gang stalking victims, noise harassment through neighbors, yelling at gang stalking victims through neighbors. I see it constantly on Twitter almost every day. Literally. Do you honestly think that these things are being done for the sake of just harassing a stranger through strangers? Do you really believe that? Who's using the neighbors? Who's using the fucking businesses? Who the fuck is using the cops? Who's using remote neural monitoring? This is all about brain entrainment through stress conditioning. Stress conditioning being done through anchors. Anchors are the stimuli to stimulate the response. Now, their defense will be, this person sounds mentally ill, paranoid schizophrenia, we better lock them up through illegal probate control schemes so we can then use them for insurance fraud schemes, medical insurance fraud schemes, racketeering schemes, and staged recorded rapes instead of a group home the victim is put in as a result of calling the victim mentally ill because of their statements. Yet hundreds, tens of thousands of victims are saying the same fucking thing. People who have never talked to each other. So Google the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the DOD, DARPA, fusion centers to fucking gang stalking, then Google rape, gang rape to gang stalking, human trafficking to gang stalking, mass murder and gang stalking, directed energy weapon torture and gang stalking, and I fucking think you're going to start seeing the truth. And so how do you think they're getting the cooperation of neighbors all over the country through Neighborhood Watch? And who's directly, intimately connected to Neighborhood Watch? Your Sheriff's Department. And who's directly connected to the creation of Neighborhood Watch? The Department of Homeland Security. I've endured the same exact, identical to a T, sick demonic bullshit at every single fucking wood area I've been forced to utilize after they made me homeless from 4 apartments in Michigan. And they made me homeless from 1 apartment in Tennessee, but I left Tennessee immediately and went back to Michigan. It's brain entrainment by and through mind pattern programming using the anchors and the stimuli. Go back and watch this video, review what I've stated, research my descriptions, and you will see truth. Listen to the video in the title of the Periscope video. Follow my instructions. Correlate all the data together, and you will see fucking massive neurological torture in order to create auditorial and visual brain entrainment, in order to excite responses every time the anchors that are propped up that are connected to the entrainment, so that these little sick satanic fucking bitches can nearly hack you on a daily basis. From a distance, leaving you with no evidence because you can't even fucking walk into a medical center or a fucking hospital to prove that you've been brain trained, because there's 6 satanic bitch fucking doctors and medical centers and medical clinics are directly controlled by these 6 satanic horrors, your U.S. intelligence agencies. Why the fuck is the DHS and the FBI and the CIA and the NSA and the OIG and many others openly, directly, massively implicated by tens of thousands of victims to be directly connected to be the massively implicated hosts of this sick bitch demonic crime? Where the fuck are they at right now? Do you think a homeless person can defend themselves against stage props who will lie their fucking ass off? Who are used by these 6 satanic fucking whores? Mass murdering, raping, gang raping, human trafficking satanic bitches in our U.S. intelligence agencies who are doing this to hundreds of thousands of women all over the United States? Absolutely. Setting up staged gang rapes that are videotaped and sold to the dark web. Baby cakes. Oh, that's some pretty sensitive shit you're exposing, Leslie. Well, how dare you the fuck come in my home and make me homeless, wild animal? You had no right to come into my home and make me homeless. You had no right to fucking gang stalk me to 4 fucking states. Who the fuck do you think you are? Absolutely. You came into my life, assholes. This allows me to come into yours. Absolutely. And by the way, you should also research voice-to-skull technology, mass shootings, and gang stalking. You fucking don't come into my life, assholes, and expect to walk away scot-free, no matter what the fuck you do to me or my property. You come into my life uninvited, intrude on every aspect of it, make me fucking homeless, staged a brutal rape of me in Michigan, covered up through lying Detroit police and others. Try to make it appear that it was a rape that occurred because you went to an area you shouldn't have went to. That's total bullshit. You think you're gonna fucking use cops to cover up a staged rape brought about through gang stalking, okay, and try and make it appear that it happened because I shouldn't have been in the area to begin with? You're full of fucking shit. You should go into this account and look at some videos that I just recently made. Absolutely. You think you're gonna fucking create the homelessness of me and gang stalk me to fucking every single fucking wooded area and use homeless people to brutally assault me, get people to steal my property, forcing me to go through more money to replace it. Let's see if anybody's at the Octopus Tree location that I go back to here in the next 7 days to retrieve some property left behind. Let's see if it's been stolen. Let's see if anybody's camping on the property. It's a property that literally's got a tree on it that literally looks like an octopus. And by the way, there's videos in this account that show that location. See, when you can... Because I want you to think about what I'm saying here for a minute. Your average homeless person is already afraid of being arrested for being homeless because they know, this crime knows that every single creature on this fucking planet has to sleep. It knows it. So it knows that you will be forced to go to somewhere to sleep. It knows that you know that you'll be gang stalked to homeless shelters because this crime catalogs everything they've already done to you, so they already know that they've used homeless shelters to gang stalk you in other states. They know they know everything that you have been put through this crime. They know everything that you know about what they've done to you to this crime. They know about all the educated knowledge that you have become aware of through cyber research of this crime. Because they cyber surveil everything that you have ever fucking done online, from the second you became a gang stalking victim to the second up to this date. They have monitored every single fucking thing you've done online, so they know how educated you are. If you're being remotely neurally monitored, they know every single fucking thing you neurally process. Meaning they know all your thoughts, including by remotely neurally monitoring your subvocal speech. They can see through your eyes and hear through your ears because of remote neural monitoring. So do you honestly think these sick bitch wild animals don't know what you know about what they've done to you and your understanding about this crime? They know everything. Now, getting back to homeless people for a second here, consider this. For no matter what reason that we have homeless people all over America in the millions, a lot of people are homeless because of bad circumstances, because of bad employment opportunities, because of bad family relationships, because of divorce, because of whatever reason. Yes, there are a marginal amount of people who are homeless because of social deviant lifestyles. That is not me at all in any way, shape, or form. I do not do drugs in any way, shape, or form. I do not drink at all, and I do not hang around anybody and have not ever hung around anybody for 1 second since I've been in San Diego since August 8, 2011. The day I arrived in San Diego from Connecticut, I made that choice before coming to San Diego from Connecticut because I know social infiltration as a method of gang stalking is how I ended up being human trafficked in Michigan through this crime. Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay? Now, this crime knows every single thing you know about this crime. They know every single thing that they know you know about what they've done to you. So they know you're not going to go to a homeless shelter because they know you know that you'll be gang stalked to the homeless shelter and be set up through bought off and paid fellow clients, fellow homeless people, and through cooperating staff. That is the extent of this crime. Consider this. If the DHS and the FBI and the CIA and all these other mass murdering, demonic human trafficking intelligence agencies can control fucking the banks, the post offices, universities, hospitals, medical centers, every single fucking place a gang stalking victim goes to and lives at, do you honestly think they can control a fucking homeless shelter? Think of fucking again. These sick bitch animal whores are torturing tens of thousands of victims all over America. That's been repeatedly covered on national radio shows on multiple dates, including ones I've been on. So do you honestly think these sick bitch wild animals that are managing the entire gang stalking program over the entire United States do not have influence over a fucking homeless shelter? Of course they fucking do. So they know you're not going to go to one because they know you know you'll be set up at one. So why did they create the homelessness to begin with? Was it for the brain entrainment, connected to the stimuli, connected to the anchoring, connected to the sensitization techniques that of the program of this crime that they knew they were going to initiate against you once they created the homelessness of you? Using people to report you. Making sure that you know that if you get arrested for trespassing or illegal lodging or illegal encroachment, you'll lose your benefits. They know you will know that when you get re-released from jail after being put in jail for illegal lodging or trespassing or encroachment, once you get released from jail, you won't get your benefits back. They know you know through your educated knowledge of this crime that they can set you up in jail and charge you for a felony by accusing you of being the problem in jail that they staged. If you're charged with a felony, you won't be able to get your Social Security back when you get out of jail, when you go to reapply for it, because it got it taken away from you once you got put in jail if you're in jail for more than 29 days. They make sure you know all of this because they need for you to be fearful about being arrested at wooded areas, because that was the intention for them, in part, for you to be made homeless. So they can create this brain entrainment. Look, when they create brain entrainment, by controlling your circumstances, and then let you know that they got the capacity to affect all these other things if you get arrested, what do you think that does? That produces thinking patterns about the situation and brain states. Fear injection, stress conditioning about it. Because they know you know they're controlling this whole situation. They intentionally let you know it. Why do you think they go by my wooded areas and say, gang stalk, let's get the bitch out of here? Gang stalk, let's call the cops and get her out of here. I've already proved it in my blog. Abso-fucking-lutely. Why do you think they say all that? Because it's stress conditioning. It's fear injection. It's creating the threats and creating the fear attached to the threats to this time. It's them letting you know that they got mental control over where you're staying. And then they periodically prop up the props to make you concerned about you being fucking reported. Why? Because they need these negative associations in your mind in order to stimulate the thinking processes and the emotional states every time they prop up the prop that is connected to the threat. And what does that do every time they prop up the prop? It stimulates the electromagnetic response, and remote neural monitoring latches onto you. So welcome to your sick bitch government. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Check this out. Alright, so say if you got a guy who's being gang stalked. Alright? And let's say he has finally become aware that what he's enduring is a crime that is called gang stalking. Alright? So he's become aware that a crime that he's enduring is called gang stalking. Hold on a second. Okay. Now, so say if you got this guy who's living in a house that's on the corner of a street, and he's being gang stalked. Hold on a second. Oh, dang it, a bee's in here. And so he's had his garage broken into. It's somewhat similar to the things I've already described, but it's still going to be a little bit different. So he's had his garage broken into 3 times in 90 days. So then one of his neighbors comes by one day and he says, "Hey, I saw a cop car outside of your home last week. What was going on? Everything all right?" So the guy breaks down and he says, "Well, my garage got broken into 3 times in 90 days. And he says, "Really?" And then he says, "Well, let me tell you something. Do you remember that kid that walks up and down the street a lot?" Because this neighbor is aware that this guy sits out on his front porch a lot, so he's probably got a good idea that this neighborhood has seen this well-known street punk that walks up and down the neighborhood a lot, right? So he'll say, "Do you know that kid that walks up and down the street a lot?" And the guy will say, "What kid?" And so then this neighbor will describe him a little bit more in-depthly until the neighbor says, "Oh yeah, I've seen that punk walk up and down the street a lot." And he said, "Well, he's been identified to be somebody who's breaking into neighbors' homes and garages." All right? Just hear me out. So, this guy that just got his garage broken into 3 times in 90 days is being told by a neighbor that he's always had good conversations with. A neighbor that's been his neighbor for 5 years. Never seen any bizarre, peculiar behavior coming from this neighbor. Always waved hello to him every time he comes home and sees him. You know, he's just a neighbor that seems okay, right? So then the neighbor is telling him that this punk that walks up and down the neighborhood a lot has been identified by several neighbors as being somebody who's breaking into neighborhood homes and garages, to a man who's had his garage broken into 3 times in 90 days. So now this punk, by his visual representation, has now become anchored in this guy's mind to possibly be connected and associated to not only what he's been told by the neighbor, but possibly now he's wondering, is this the asshole who's breaking into his fucking garage? Right? Now, so now he's got this as a visual anchor to a possible suspect to what's been happening to him. Hear me out. Gang stalking operates by and through association, by and through crimes. Okay? What do you think the sensitization method is all about? So hear me out. So then the guy, his kitchen is right by the a sidewalk that leads towards his garage. And so every time he's in his kitchen, so when he does his dishes after he eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that sidewalk is 5 feet away from his kitchen window. Another sidewalk that's in front of his home is right in front of his front porch. So hear me out. And I know I keep saying that. Sorry about that. Hold on. So let's say 2 times a week for the next 2 weeks, as he's doing his kitchen dishes, he sees this punk walk down the sidewalk 5 feet away from his kitchen window. And as the punk walks by, he's talking with his friend, and he's saying, "Yeah, I know the next place we can go to." Okay? 3 times in the next 2 weeks after that. He's sitting on his front porch and the same punk walks by again, and he makes an unusual physical gesture or an unusual sound or says a bizarre word or phrase as he's walking by this guy's house 15 feet away from the guy's porch as he's sitting on a porch. So this guy has seen him do these things and hear him say these things. 2 weeks later, his garage gets broken in again. Okay? And the guy heard some noise be coming from the garage as the people were fleeing, and the sound that he heard was identical to the sound that this kid made when he was going by the sidewalk of the kitchen window and the front porch. Do you understand? So now we got an anchored sound to a correlated act. Welcome to gang stalking. Gang stalking intentionally creates correlations and associations in the victim's mind to an act. That way, when the sound is propped up on prior dates, it will stimulate the memory of that original act. So if you make a gang stalking victim homeless, then you prop up landscape workers and they're doing landscape work around you, and they say gang stalking suck dick on at least 150 locations. I'm sorry, on at least 150 occasions at least 2 wooded areas, then that sound of that landscape noise and the workers themselves are now formed in the victim's mind to gang stalking. And what has been one of the similar identical acts that has been brought about through public workers, like environmental workers. Can public workers report a homeless person? Absolutely they can, because they got normal appearing reasons to be in the environment. The gang stalking victim has no excuse for being on the property. If they get arrested, all these bad things can happen to them. So do you see how all these attributes are correlated to one act? Because it's all it's called mind pattern programming, where all this information is built around and upon an association to a correlated act to persons who have been used on prior dates. Do you understand? This is what gang stalking does to create mind pattern programming. The mind pattern programming is the entrainment. Therefore, on subsequent dates, all they got to do is prop up the sound connected to the employment description that excites the response. Remote neural monitoring identifies it. Self-preservation is one of the biggest things that they intentionally try to... They put the victim in a self-preservation mode by making them homeless, and then threaten the self-preservation by threatening arrest connected to the homelessness, which has already been cultivated and created in this crime. So later on today, I'm going to put... Hold on a second, I'm scratching my head. Later on today, I'm going to put my blog's URL link in the title of this Periscope video. And when you get into it... Hold on a second, let me rub my eye here. So what you want to do, listen to this very carefully. I'm going to put my current blog's URL link in the title of a Periscope video that I'm going to make within a half hour after I conclude this video. Now, what you want to do when you bring that blog up, by copying down its URL characters and then typing them in at your URL address bar and then pressing enter to bring the blog up. Then what you want to do when you go into the blog is you want to look for a attached Gmail PDF link that has the words with... See, the link itself has a name, and the name of the link is Copy of Pasted Blog, December 2019. Now what you want to do before you click on that link is you want to download onto your computer and or phone the Abode Reader, Abode Viewer app. It's a PDF viewer app. Now, the reason why I'm telling you to do that is because when you go into the blog and you see this link and you click on it, it's going to bring up how the blog originally looked in December 2019, because they went into the blog in September 2020 and erased the entire contents of it. And I have not had the time to go in and copy everything that was in it from originally and what was added to it from December of 2019 up and through September 2020. So what I did was I had a copy of that hacked, manipulated blog in my email account. And so after they erased the contents of it in September 2020, I started putting everything back into it slowly, and then reattached that link within what's already with what's been reattached within the blog, so you can see what was originally in that blog as of December 2019. Now, when you bring it up within the Abode Reader, Abode Viewer, PDF Viewer, you're going to be able to then click on the PDF links within that Gmail email PDF file. That's going to enable you to unlock massive amounts of evidence, and you're going to indisputably see, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they have been intentionally anchoring fear to threats of arrest for homelessness. You're going in 2 states at least, Michigan and San Diego, and they are identical, spanning over a decade apart, because they did the same shit in Michigan. In order to keep brain entrainment alive to certain stimuli, you got to repeat the same stimuli, because the stimuli are associated to the entrainment, which is why they're repeating, oh my God, in San Diego. And I got emails on my blog that show me state, going all the way back to 2008, showing me state that they're repeating, oh my God, along all my routes in Michigan. That's connected to the auditory entrainment. Okay? So I wanted to bring these things to your attention, my fellow American citizens, so you can see the truth of my statements in this video. I appreciate you listening. So let's see if any of my property disappears off the Octopus Tree location. And trust me, when you go into the profile of this account and you see the videos that were made at the Octopus Tree location that show you the actual Octopus Tree and my statements concerning why it's called the Octopus Tree location, when you watch those videos, you'll thoroughly, logically understand why that area is called the Octopus Tree location. I can't utilize a wooded area and then openly state where I'm at. Why do you think they're turning on locations on my Periscope account concerning where my location's at? Why do you think that they're turning that on? Okay? Why do you think they're turning Wi-Fi on my phone? Who's got my phone number? I've never given it to nobody. This is a brand new phone. Alright? So anyways, you're going to have to go back and watch this video in its entirety at least 4 or 5 times in order to extract the entire context of it concerning the relevance of all things stated, because they all work together. And trust me when I say your fucking mind is going to be blown. You will never see this world again in the same exact identical way. But if you do what I say, trust me when I say, you will always be thankful you run across this video. That is no exaggeration, literally. Literally. Okay? My name is Dusty Williams. I made this video to inform, to expose truth. And always remember, you can at any time go to Google and type in voice to skull technology, gang stalking, and mass shootings. Why do you think they targeted me to begin with? Am I a victim of non-consensual human experimentation? Does it have any military attachments? When did it begin? See, when you research DARPA, which is the it's the research arm of the DoD. When you research them to non-consensual human experimentation and gang stalking, what do you think you're gonna discover? And you should always know this, my fellow American citizens, my dear fellow human family. Torture is connected to 99.999% of all of the non-consensual human experimentation occurring to all gang stalking victims. Do you really believe that our government and our military and the DoD and DoD defense contractors are ever going to admit that they use directed energy weapons on the brain, organs, and joints of gang stalking victims? Do you honestly believe that our government will ever admit that it non-consensually neurally implanted gang stalking victims with brain implants? Do you believe that our sick bitch demonic government will ever admit the truth? And by the way, I just made a video a couple days ago showing a book that I just bought. It's titled Brain Implants and Messages by Dr. Hildegard Staninger. I'm going to spell her name and then I got to let you go. Her name is spelled Hildegard Staninger. Her first name is spelled Hildegarde. Her last name is spelled Staninger. Dr. Hildegard Staninger. You can also Google her to One Cell Light, Blogspot Radio interviews, Derek Robertson, Melinda Kidder. She's got massive interviews showing her interview gang stalking victims online and gang stalking activists. She wrote a book, and the book is about brain implants, okay, and nano implantation. Google all those descriptions to gang stalking. These sick bitch demonic horrors are neurologically and biologically torturing gang stalking victims in the most demented, depraved, demonic ways that your mind could conceive and cannot. Ways that your imagination would never go to unless you heard the descriptions through gang stalking victims concerning what they're enduring through it. They know it. They'll never admit it in court. They'll never allow any evidence to ever be showcased in court. But what they will do is label a gang stalking victim as being mentally ill and lock them up, including for the rest of their lives, while they're being used as straw persons for racketeering schemes, which that money then turns around and funds their black projects, including illegal probate control schemes, where they're placing gang stalking victims in group homes for the rest of their lives by claiming they're mentally ill and or cannot take care of themselves and or are a threat to themselves or others. They are gang raped in these group homes for the rest of their lives. Those gang rapes are videotaped and sold to pornography groups for tens of thousands of dollars for video. Do you think the DOD wants that out? Do you think DARPA, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA wants that out? Of course they fucking don't. These are wild, sadistic, torturing, raping, gang raping, mass murdering whores. It's all they are. It's all they'll ever fucking be. If you fucking come into my home, you come into my life, I will expose every single fucking thing I know about your sick, satanic, mass murdering asses. Always. If you come into my life in the most minimal way, I will expose every single fucking thing I know about you continually up until my last fucking breath. Because I just don't fucking care. I literally don't care. I literally don't care. When you can excite fear in a gang stalking victim's mind about their survival after you put them in a survival situation by engaging in these acts in order to create the entrainment, you're creating the entrainment from the limbic system to a disassociated state, because the stimuli used that are connected to the anchors are connected to an original traumatic event that created the disassociation. Why do you think they're still saying, oh my God, around me? Okay, 14 years later, oh my God was said around me as I was being tortured in Michigan. When you're being tortured, your mind goes into a disassociated state. So when they prop up fucking landscape workers who repeat, oh my God, while they're using their landscape working tools, that sound becomes auditory entrained to the disassociated state, to the self-preservation mode, because they know that you know that landlords can report you for being on property that you're forced to use, that they fucking put you on by creating the homelessness of you. Therefore, the limbic system gets activated because they're exciting self-preservation, because they know you know they got the power to report you. You get reported, you get arrested. That then can affect your finances, which they intentionally let you know that throughout the campaign, through dark neurolinguistic programming techniques. Okay? It's all connected. It's how they create the mind pattern programming. This is all built on throughout the years of non-stop gang stalking every single fucking day. I've been gang stalked to over 35 different wooded areas in San Diego just in the past 3 years, where the same exact identical to a T techniques have been propped up around me at each and every fucking one. Each and every one. Now, do you really think that's a fucking accident? I got 8,500 audio files. Hold on. I got 8,500 audio files literally showing people repeat gang stalk, oh my god, and suck dick along every single one of my routes that I have been to, every single place I've went since I arrived in San Diego on August 8, 2011. I just caught it at 3 places 2 days ago. My bank, McDonald's, and Vons. 3 places I went to back on the 2nd of February 2nd, 2020. If I get arrested, they'll steal the microcards from the tape recorder. Let me show you. These tape recorders, they got these little... Let me open it up and I'll show it to you. These tape recorders have got these little features in them that you can put microcards in them. So you can extend the memory once the internal memory gets full. I wear these tape recorders on me every fucking day, so do you honestly think they're not recording people saying, gang stalk, oh my god, and suck dick? Of course they are. I already got massive evidence uploaded to the internet concerning this. Including videos that are already online showing this McDonald's being caught way back in 2013. Okay? So, let's see the next time if I go into that McDonald's if they look for excuses concerning why I can't bring my bike in. If I can't bring my bike in, then I can't come in. If I can't come in, I won't get any more future updated evidence. They know I can't bring my bike in. I'm sorry. They know I won't leave my bike outside because they engaged in stress conditioning concerning my bike being damaged or stolen back in 2012 and 13. So all they gotta do is tell me I can't bring my bike in, and then I can't come in to place any orders, therefore I don't get any current updated evidence. Do you honestly think they don't know I'm not telling you right now that I just caught McDonald 2 days ago? Okay? That's a fucking lutely. In fact, check this out. Here's the fucking receipt. And the audio file showing me state to the McDonald employee, as he was handing my order, I said to him, is this order 379? He says, yes. Huh? I don't know how well you're going to be able to see the date on this. There it is. 2/2/21. Okay? That's a fucking ugly. So who used McDonald's? Who used my bank? Okay? I just don't give a fuck anymore. These fucking sick satanic fucking bitches have gang stalked me to over 40 different wooded areas since I've been in San Diego since August 8, 2011. And they do this to me every fucking morning. I woke up this morning thinking to myself, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do what I got to do so I can start preparing to leave this property. And before I could even fucking get my fucking pajamas off, they started the sick bitch on the hill behind me and the sick bitch on the fucking road. Creating these concerns, I couldn't get up and do any fucking thing out of concern of being seen. And they propped up these fucking landscape workers directly off the entrance of this fucking wooded area. Google that to gang stalking concerning propping up assholes at entrances and exits. That prevented me from being able to get up and do what I originally wanted to do this morning, prompted me to make this fucking video. So I'm going to let you go because I'm going to hurry up and, hold on a second. I got a partly cloudy day today, so I'm going to try and charge some of my computer chargers, my cell phone battery chargers. So let's see if any incident occurs between me and anybody at this wooded area before I fucking leave it. That includes anybody fucking coming on the property and doing any damage to this tent before it's taken down and before I leave it permanently. Okay, within the next 10 days. That includes any assaults, tickets, arrests, property theft, property damage, property confiscation, property owners interfacing with me, homeless people, social deviants, punks, criminals, crazies, kids, neighbors, teenagers, adults, landscape workers, neighbors, any fucking asshole. I don't give a flying fuck what my tape recorder picks up within 1,000 feet of me, or in my direct physical presence, or who plays a role in it. These fucking sick satanic fucking bitches will use literally anybody. Check this out. I literally just got done tape recording an interview that was done, I believe, through Ella Free's YouTube channel. That was done on January 7th, 2021. Between her and a guy by the name of Ray Schumann. Okay, who's a lawyer who's he says he's trying to advocate for gang stalking victims. I just got done tape recording that interview 5 days ago. on my fucking tape recorder. And it openly shows him state that these fucking satanic bitches will not absolutely use grocery store employees, but they'll use kids, neighbors, teenagers, adults. They'll fucking use anybody. Things I've been exposing in YouTube videos and Periscope videos for fucking years. They will use anybody. And you should absolutely, massively, extensively research law enforcement at every motherfucking level. Sheriffs, state, county, and local cops, neighborhood watch to gang stalking. And then always remember, my fellow American citizens, rape, gang rape, torture, murder, mass murder, and gang stalking. So why the fuck would the police be connected to those kinds of crimes? The police are supposed to be our protectors, aren't they? So why the fuck are police, fire department personnel, ambulance services, hospitals, doctors, medical centers, medical clinics, universities, grocery stores, and all these other fucking places be directly identified by tens of thousands of people all over the internet to be directly connected to a crime that's directly connected to rape, gang rape, human trafficking, murder, mass murder, torture, and other mass satanic sadistic crimes? Why the fuck? Who the fuck is using all these fucking grocery stores and places I go to every fucking day? Who's using property owners and public workers and environmental workers connected to public workers? Who's using the state, county, and local? Who's using the county government of San Diego? Who used SDPD and SDSD against me? Who used UCSD police against me, SDSU police against me, and USD police against me? I've already entrapped them all. Legally, literally entrapped them all. I literally caught the San Diego prosecutors and public defenders inside the San Diego courthouse on multiple dates saying gang stalk, literally caught San Diego prosecutors and public defenders repeating, gang stalker suck my dick, gang stalker my god. Go to YouTube and type in a YouTube search box, learning disabled woman catches San Diego prosecutors and public defenders repeating, gang stalker suck my dick, gang stalker my god. And by the way, it does appear that video is being marginalized. So trust me, if you pay very close attention, you should be able to hear it. If I don't let you go, I'll just keep on talking. Okay? Everybody, thank you for listening. And always remember this. I do not do drugs. I am not mentally ill. I do not drink alcohol at all in any way, shape, or form. And I do not hang around anybody at all and have literally not hung around anybody for 1 second since I've been in San Diego since August 8, 2011. Go to Google and type in social infiltration and gang stalking. It's how I was human trafficking in Michigan through this crime. And by the way, let's also see if anybody of any gang stalking victim that I am aware of uses any family members or acquaintances of family members to report them as being missing or anything else. Police have to have normal appearing reasons to look for you. And they'll fucking use anybody. You know, I've seen a lot of information on the internet concerning social infiltration and gang stalking and family infiltration and gang stalking. My name is Leslie Williams. I made this video to inform, to expose truth. Because you can't count on truth coming out of the mouth of a lying, sadistic, criminally insane, lying, organized crime whore. Hold on. The only reason why these fucking psychos care about truth is because they know truth exposes them. They'll lie right through their teeth in court. They'll lie on any type of documentation. From courts to fucking police to fucking doctors, court proceedings to doctors. They'll lie on it. They'll falsify any type of paper documentation about any and all gang stalker victims, anywhere and at any and all times. They have no problem lying to your teeth, to your face. They'll lie in court. They'll lie on paper. They're nothing but absolute, completely criminally insane, lying, human trafficking, mass murdering, raping whores. It's all they are. I know that strong language. Research all my descriptions and you will see truth. I gotta let you go because I got a day I gotta get started here. All gang stalking predictions and statements I've ever made are in effect. That means if anything happens that I've ever discussed on video and on any type of online exposure, audio files, video files, email files, blog statements, whatever. If they do anything that I have ever talked about or predicted, it will continue to expose the simple fact that everything that I state is true. They have already done massive amounts of things that I predicted. Oh, absolutely. I gotta let you go or I'll just keep talking. Everybody have a great day. Stay tuned. And as soon as I get done making this video, I'll make another video and attach my blog's URL link so you can follow my instructions concerning what to do, concerning going into that and bringing up that Gmail PDF link that is named, attached within the blog, that is named Copy of Pasted Blog, December 2019. Everybody, I do appreciate you staying with me. All predictions are in effect, and make no fucking mistake about it. Let's see when I go to the Octopus Tree location if any of my hidden property that's there is gone. Let's see if anybody's camping on the property. Let's see if anybody arrives. Let's see if I get set up for assaults, robberies, altercations, arrest tickets, or anything else. Have a great day, everybody.